So, Hannah, speaking of the power grid melting down, we also saw probably the biggest airline meltdown that certainly in recent history that I can ever remember. Southwest is not doing so hot. It ended up canceling more than two-thirds of its flights over the past few days during this storm, and it was a hot mess. Somehow, my boyfriend, he came out after Christmas to join me and my family here, where my mom lives. He got on a Southwest flight unobstructed, but everything I see all over the internet is just horror stories about what went down with Southwest.
I think he must have a lucky streak, or maybe all those like phone calls he's put in with his points are helping him out because he is one of the lucky few not caught up. And actually, we're recording on Tuesday. This is still ongoing. We're talking through Tuesday and Wednesday right now. Southwest is continuing to cancel the bulk of their flights. Let's roll this clip.
Gio, yeah, frustrated passengers are stuck at airports across the country. The return home from Christmas for many has become a flat-out nightmare. This morning,
they said no one's getting on a flight, a Southwest flight, for 4 days, and they said we can't help you go home.
Southwest Airlines melting down in the wake of the Christmas holiday.
Christmas was just ruined. This was the worst Christmas ever.
While 3,800 flights were canceled across the country Monday after the punishing winter storm, nearly three-quarters of them were Southwest flights. And the company has already canceled over 2,500 flights today, with more misery expected this week.
It's been catastrophic. It is simply a failure of Southwest management.
When asked about the collapse, a spokesperson for Southwest blaming the weather.
I think it's just the sheer size of the storm. It's just the fact that this one started west, swept east, and impacted almost every single one of our largest airports that put us in a position where we struggled to recover, and we struggled to get our flight crews and airplanes where they needed to be.
In a statement, the company vowing we'll work to make things right for those that we've let down. We recognize falling short and sincerely apologize. But this morning, federal officials are launching an investigation into the chaotic response. The Department of Transportation saying it is concerned by Southwest's unacceptable rates of cancellations and delays and reports of a lack of prompt customer service, adding it will investigate whether cancellations were controllable. The airline's own employees blaming the company for not being better prepared. Some Southwest flight crews are being left on hold for up to 10 hours while they wait for scheduling instructions. From weary travelers sleeping on airport floors to unclaimed luggage pileups, the harsh reality was everywhere.
Unfortunately, our next available seats for rebooking are on the 31st and beyond.
Loudspeakers warning flyers in Houston they shouldn't expect to get a flight out for at least 6 days. Others boarding crowded buses chartered by Southwest. One bus headed from Raleigh to Nashville, a 500-mile ride that will take more than 8 hours.
So what y'all just heard was Good Morning America's little roundup summary of what's going on, and I have to say a couple things. One, I was struck by the Southwest spokesperson just saying, well, it's just the storm, because all the other airlines had a storm too, and they had some cancellations, but nowhere near this bad. And then also, like, the customer service thing was obscene. For example, my boyfriend, during his whole affair, tried to call, and it just hung up on him, and apparently there were up to 5-hour wait times. Basically, their customer service just went non-existent as this went on, so the whole thing is a big mess. Not really sure what the point of a Department of Transportation investigation is. Yeah, but what a mess. I feel so bad for all the people whose Christmases were ruined.
Yeah, I'm currently supposed to be flying Southwest on Friday for my birthday to Nashville for New Year's and my birthday celebration. I'm thinking it might not happen.
Maybe find a backup plan on another airline.
Yeah. And I say this as something that I think people, avid listeners, know this. I used to be the biggest simp for Southwest Airlines. I used to be the biggest supporter for Southwest. I gave them tons of free promo. I loved them. I always had good experiences. That has been rapidly changing over the past year. One, I kind of decided to start moving to Delta because I'm in Atlanta. It's the hub. I wanted to use the lounges, which, by the way, are just totally worth it. But I had a really bad experience on Southwest back in October. I might have mentioned on the show, but I was trying to go to Seats for Liberty in Miami. And basically they did this kind of thing to us, and we were just up a creek and had to buy $800 tickets on another airline last minute just to make the event. And they gave us like a cruddy like $300 voucher to make up for it. And they also blame the weather at that point. And that's significant because when they blame weather, they don't actually have to pay for things. And this is why this is important. This is not a weather meltdown. As you mentioned, the other airlines did not have anything close to this. 50% of all flights canceled around the world were Southwest flights. Delta only canceled 262 flights in comparison. United was second. They had 133 flights, and then American Airlines canceled only 12, but they did have over 790 delays. But yeah, Southwest just dwarfs the competition when it came to cancellations and delays. Everybody's dealing with the same weather issues that is totally bogus. And on top of that, like you mentioned, just the lack of customer service, lack of explanations. Like, people can't even get through to get rebooked, so they're just going to have to bite the bullet and do what I did and end up paying a lot more to fly another airline, and then Southwest is basically just scot-free, gets to keep the money. So I don't have a lot of faith in the Department of Transportation. I don't really necessarily think it should exist, really, but I do think they should start investigating this, because the honest truth here, and I hate the situation, but like, we have to deal with what reality is that the airlines are government-backed. As a whole, we give these companies billions of dollars. We bail them out nonstop.
They're
We overly regulate. Super highly regulated.
Not a free market.
That's right. There's nothing free market about it. The truth is, most of them should have gone under a very long time ago, and we should have better competition. We should have other options that are breaking in, but that's not happening because of the government. And on top of that, most of the regulations, as I mentioned, they go in favor of the airlines, right? Like saying they only have to comp people's other flights or hotels or travel vouchers when there's weather. Like, no, you should have to do that if there's incompetence, right? Like, it should be on you if you're the provider, and also if you're getting all of our tax dollars, like, then you should be responsible for your own errors as well. And so I really, the whole thing really infuriates me. And on top of that, they're really not even being forthcoming. Like I said, they're trying to blame it on weather, and they're not giving people answers. And I think the whole thing is just unacceptable.
Well, and we actually have some behind-the-scenes tea, courtesy of Reddit. Some anonymous, and I guess we can't prove that they actually are Southwest employees, but why people would lie about this, not sure. Some Southwest employees have gone off on Reddit explaining from the employee's point of view what people can do to make the best of this and why they believe it's happening. One person wrote, on behalf of all employees, we're sorry, we'll give it to you straight. This meltdown was caused entirely by Southwest. It was triggered by the storm, but the failure to recover quickly is on Southwest 100%. If you are still hearing weather almost a week after the storm, it's not true. And the person goes on to explain that this shitstorm is because the crew scheduling software went belly up, and it almost all has to be unraveled over the phone with crew members calling in scheduling. If they had better technology that eliminated the need for phone calls, this would have been fixed by now. And they warn people Southwest will not be getting you anywhere for days, so give it a rest. They even said that your check bags are such a disaster that some of them will be 30 plus days lost in the system. So apparently Southwest is has this like hotline open where you can submit your requests for your expenses, and they say they will honor reasonable requests for reimbursement for meals, hotel, alternate transportation. Good luck. But I guess, yeah, I mean, this kind of incompetence and the failure to develop better software and all of these things, those are hallmarks of a non-competitive market or a much less competitive market or a regulated market. Those things all choke innovation and they kind of breed incompetence. And so Southwest in a free market would probably go under from something like this, but they will not. Yeah, at least with COVID, I'm not sure I supported the airline bailouts, but at least like when governments were locking down travel, it made sense that like they didn't deserve to go under because they didn't do anything wrong. That was just like the world happened in ways that screwed over the airline industry. With this, something like this, I mean, they should not be too big to fail because they deserve to fail for messing this up royally.
Yeah, this is a catastrophe. Like the audio clip said, I mean, you have people on buses, like 8-hour trips now. You have people losing their luggage for months on end. That is completely unacceptable. And I also feel bad for the staff because I will say that Southwest has some of the nicest, best customer service representatives I've ever worked around. One of their union presidents said, with the exception of September 11th, this has been some of the most horrific days that Southwest airline flight attendants have ever had to work through. And I can only imagine the ire and wrath that they're getting because people can't see the representatives of the airline that are actually responsible for this catastrophe. So just a reminder, be friendly to the people in the airports. It's not their fault, but the company itself certainly should have to answer for this. And I would not be flying Southwest anytime soon if it were me, including on Friday. So